Speaker placement. Here are some additional details to consider when discussing speaker placement. For optimizing home theater acoustics. Main speaker placement. The placement of the main speakers, typically the front left and right speakers, is crucial for achieving an accurate and balanced soundstage. They should be positioned at an equal distance from the primary listening position. The sweet spot, and angled slightly inward, facing the listener. This arrangement helps create a focused and centered sound image. Center channel speaker. The center channel speaker, responsible for dialogue and on-screen action, should be placed directly above or below the display screen. It should be positioned at the same height as the main speakers to maintain a coherent and seamless soundstage. Surround speaker placement. Surround speakers contribute to creating an immersive sound experience by reproducing ambient sounds and effects. They are typically placed to the sides or slightly behind the primary listening position. Aim to position them at ear level or slightly above, tilted towards the listener. If using multiple surround speakers, consider using a 5.1, 7.1, or higher channel configuration for enhanced spatial effects. Subwoofer placement. The placement of the subwoofers affects the bass response and overall low-frequency performance. Subwoofers are often omnidirectional, allowing flexibility in placement. Experiment with different subwoofer positions within the room to find the location that provides the most even bass distribution. Common options include corners, along walls, or near the front speakers. Room modes and resonances may influence the optimal placement, so using room correction software or conducting listening tests can help determine the best position. Speaker listener geometry. Consider the ideal relationship between the speakers and the listener. The speakers and the primary listening position should form an equilateral triangle, with the listener seated at the center. This setup helps achieve a balanced stereo image and optimal sound localization. Height channel and overhead speaker placement. If implementing immersive audio formats like Dolby Atmos or DTS-X, additional height or overhead speakers are required. These speakers provide three-dimensional sound effects. Depending on the format, these speakers can be mounted on the ceiling or integrated into specialized overhead modules. Follow manufacturer recommendations for placement guidelines, which typically involve locating them directly above the main listening position or dispersed throughout the room. Room boundaries and reflections. Take into account the proximity of the speakers to room boundaries, such as walls and ceilings. Speakers positioned too close to these boundaries can cause unwanted reflections and coloration. Experiment with speaker placement, aiming to maintain a reasonable distance from nearby surfaces to minimize acoustic issues. Room correction and calibration. After initial speaker placement, utilize room correction and calibration systems to fine-tune the speaker response. These systems use microphones and specialized software to measure and analyze the room's acoustics, compensating for any frequency response irregularities caused by speaker placement or room characteristics. Follow the instructions provided by the specific room correction software or automatic calibration system being used. Remember, the specific guidelines for speaker placement may vary based on the room's size, shape, and acoustic properties. It is always recommended to consult manufacturer recommendations, professional acousticians, or experienced audio installers to ensure optimal speaker placement in your home theater setup. Thank you, and bye for now.